guys, welcome back to my channel, or hello if you are new. Today I'm going to do a story time on my crazy roommate. I have actually had 3 crazy roommates, 2 of them at one time. It started off with one, they were together, and then started letting it off with the other. So I'll do probably do 3 story times with that. Then I'll do another story time with my other roommate because that was like a year ago. Really big mistake. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and get started. Grab a snack, grab a drink, because it's going to be a long one. Okay, so a little backstory on how I met my first roommate. My first roommate, we'll call her Maurice. We met when we were in junior high. I transferred out of my regular science class into her honor science class so I could be in another class I really wanted. So we met in junior high. We were really close in junior high. And then what ended up happening was we went to different high schools. We went through all 4 years, because we were friends freshman year of high school. We went all 3 years of high school without really talking to each other, without hanging out that much at all. And then, right as I graduated high school, she texted me. She was like, "Hey, I want to hang out." So I was like, "Okay, cool, let's do it." The day I graduated high school, she didn't answer her phone, so we didn't end up hanging out. So then, yeah, she was supposed to spend the night that night. Fast forward 2 months, because I graduated in May. Fast forward 2 months to July. Let's just say it didn't really end well. End of June, beginning of July, we went to hang out. She ended up spending the night at my house. I thought it was going to be a hangout. We watched movies and stuff like that. Just make food, do whatever. It was not like that. She wanted to go out and go all over town, go see this friend, go see that friend. She didn't have a job, she didn't have money, which I'm not judging her for it, but at the same time that kind of majorly played into how we got around. It's because I was on for paying for everything, for the food and for the ways to get around. So what ended up happening was around 10 o'clock, I'm like, "Look, I'm just gonna go, I want to go home. Whether or not you come with is another thing." I ended up calling into work that night for the next day because I wasn't feeling good after walking around and stuff like that. So I ended up calling an Uber to come and get us. So we went home to an Uber because by the time we were done, everything, the other ways of getting around stopped running. So I called an Uber. We came over to my house. She, that night, she had, not a mental breakdown, but I think she was just, I don't know how to explain it, but I think she was putting on a show. Make me feel bad for her because she never really done that before. Sorry. And at first I felt bad for her, but when I kept going on for hours and hours and hours, and I could get her to calm down, she would start it right back up. I'm like, okay, this is getting old. She invited her old ex-boyfriend over to my house, and I told her no, but I let it slide. And they got into a huge fight. She would try to lock herself with him in my room, even though I told her no. I was like, "This is my apartment, you don't do that." She tried to lock herself with him in my room. And then after I got them out, they got into a huge fight. I told him, I was like, "Look, leave. You need to leave." And so he left. And then I noticed that, because before I had her over, I was living by myself. I had the doors locked. I was able to keep, my rent payment, even though I shouldn't have kept it out on the counter, I was able to keep it, out so I can pay it the next day, because I had just gotten the money so I can pay it. I had my rent, I had that put away. I had found out after he left that he took my rent payment, which pissed me off because she wouldn't confront him. She told her, she's like, "Oh, he would never do that." And he lied about it too. So he took, my rent was almost $800 a month. He took almost $800 from me the first night we met because he just wanted to. And he did admit it, but I know how I fold the money, and that's how he had it. Anyway, so I told her, "Look, he stole that from me. You need to get it back, or you need to get a job to pay it back. That's my rent money. That's how I'm going to live here. You get it back." She did not end up getting it back, unfortunately. So I let that one slide, even though I shouldn't have. That should have been my biggest red flag when she let her ex-boyfriend steal from me. And then a couple nights later, she wanted to hang out with some more friends. And I was like, okay. She invited this guy over. I'm still kind of friends with the guy. Not really, but still. And I was like, okay, yeah, he's cool, whatever. We hung out for a couple hours, still told her, like, we're not doing too much crazy because I gotta get up and go to work that morning. We ended up going over to his friend's house, staying out really late, and I missed work the next day because of it. And he was cool. He's so cool. Like, he was very respectful. He is not the problem. She was. So, we go back home. I go to bed. I get up for work the next day, whatever. And it's just continuing the same thing. Having friends over, having guys over, going to see her ex-boyfriend, whatever, causing drama, taking things, whatever. Keep in mind, at this time, she had lived, it was about a week. She had not paid for food. She had not paid for anything else in the place that she had used. And she had let her ex-boyfriend steal from me. So I was like, okay. For some reason, I still thought this was okay. Like, what the heck? But by the time July 4th came around, she had been over for a week. Like, a full week. And by that time, I was like, you know what, whatever. Like, I'm not gonna sit there and make a big fuss about it. Stuff's replaceable, I can, whatever. So we woke up that day. I thankfully did not work that day. Yeah, I did not work. But what ended up happening was, we woke up, we went and got one of our friends, because we were all supposed to have, like, a chill, like, 4th of July, whatever. Did not happen. But I ended up paying to go get her friend from her apartment, which was not good. Then, we ended up going to my place, and she had some other person come over and pick her up. She went missing for, like, 3-4 hours, like, no one can get a hold of her. She ended up coming back around, like, 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, which is another thing, but, like, she went off with the guy, and then the guy brought her back, but her phone had died or whatever. Keep in mind, me at this time, I was trying to keep track of Maurice, the other friend, and my friends that I invited over, because I was like, hey, we're just gonna have a chill night, whatever. I was trying to keep track of my friends. She was supposed to keep track of her friends, and I having to keep track of her too. So what ended up happening was, right around 5 or 6, all of her friends had come over. We had done makeup or whatever, and then we went out to her friend's place. And this is really crazy, but I'm trying to keep it simple. So by the time we got to her friend's place, everyone's just crazy. Things just got really crazy. I ended up just trying to chill. It didn't work out the way I wanted it to. So then, fast forward until like 1, 2 o'clock, no, 10 o'clock actually, 10 o'clock at night. We're on our way home. I ended up getting really, really sick that night, and my friend had to take care of me, even though when I invited over, even though it was supposed to be my roommate, she had to take care of me, because she told me she would. So my other friend took care of me, made sure I didn't, like, stroke or whatever, like, stroke off, because I got really, really sick. So what ended up happening was, I woke up the next morning after it. She wasn't asleep. She said she didn't want to go to sleep. All of her friends were asleep in my living room, and I was like, okay. And then I found my sunglasses that I got for graduation. They're $200 price sunglasses. I've never worn them because I was going to go and get them so that way they could fit my face. Broken. She was sleeping on them because she broke them. I was like, this is not okay. Your friend broke my stuff. She's like, there's sunglasses. Get over it. And I'm like, these are $200 pair of sunglasses that I got for graduation. And your friend broke them. You're like, you need to replace them. She's like, no, I'm good. And then, so I was like, for some reason I just keep letting stuff slide. Okay, so then things settle down, whatever. Fast forward a week later, she texted me, I want to get a cat. And I was like, okay, like, are you going to pay for it? Because I don't have the money to pay for it right now. I'm currently covering rent, utilities, phone bill, food, everything. And she's like, well, yeah. She's like, I'm going to pay for it. She's like, I'm going to make my mom pay for it. And I'm like, okay, what about the food, the litter, everything else, the pet deposit, everything else? She's like, oh, my mom paid for it. And I'm like, okay, you can do that. And then after that, she texted me. She's like, oh, they won't let me have they won't let me have a cat until like 21 or whatever. I'm like, okay. Like, did not know they said I needed that, but okay. So I was like, coming home from work that night at like 10 o'clock at night, thinking about, like, she wanted a cat, she didn't get it, whatever. I came home to a cat. I ended up getting a cat. Well, not me, she did. I ended up getting mine later. Keep in mind, right around that time, we had gone over to my other friend's house, for just to hang out. It wasn't a party, we just hung out. I think we spent the night. I'm not 100% sure. I'm pretty sure we spent the night. But anyway, so what ended up happening was, it was a huge fight over there. We ended up leaving, and then 2 days later, my other friend called me. She's like, hey, I need somewhere to stay. I can't stay here anymore. I can't stand it. So I was like, okay, I'm going to be at work this time. Just text me when you get here. Here's your address. She moved in. My other friend was there. I was like, when she gets here, so I know that she's safe. And then about 3 or 4 days later, she got the cat. And I came home to the cat. I looked at her and I said, I thought you said we could have a cat. She's like, oh, I lied because I wanted it. And I'm like, okay. And then I ended up getting my cat a week, like 2 days later, because I was like, since you have a cat, I want a cat. She's like, oh, you can't get a cat, it's my decision. I was like, it's my apartment, to get over it. So, about 3 or 4 days later, I went and got my cat. Things were all fine, and Danny, things were calm. I was working, my other roommate was working, my first roommate still did not want to get a job. She wouldn't do it. So it was me and her supporting the other friend, whatever. So by the time, the end of July, beginning of August rolls around, okay? I was tired of the fighting and the craziness, because my best friend actually came and spent the night for a couple days down there, because we usually just have this thing where we, like, once every couple of months, she comes and spends the night, and we hang out for a couple days. So to start off that night, I told her, no partying, no extra friends, it's just going to be me, you, and then the 2 other friends. She's like, okay, not a big deal. Around 8:30, she came there, was like, can I invite a friend over? And I'm like, fine, as long as it's just that one friend that you said you're going to invite over, I don't care. I went outside to the living room about an hour later. She had her one friend, his other friend, his other friend's other friend, and like 4 or 5 other people, and I'm like, I thought I only said one friend. But then her other friend, which is a guy, is like, oh, don't worry, we're not going to be loud, we're going to keep it quiet. I'm like, cool, awesome, don't care, make sure you keep it clean. Let's just say around 10 o'clock, yeah, because I was 8, 10 o'clock, I went out to the living room and I was like, you guys need to turn the music down, it is too loud, turn it down, or shut it down, like, I'm getting annoyed with this. I went out to the living room, told them like 3 or 4 times, and so they turned it down. Around 12 o'clock, my first roommate came into my room where me and my other roommate were hanging out, and my best friend. She came in, she's like, oh my god, this person's gonna come fight me, and I'm like, cool, don't really care, like, leave if you're gonna do it. Leave if you're going to fight. I don't want it here. I ended up falling asleep around 12 o'clock. Then, right after I ended up falling asleep, I find out because my friend videoed it, my best friend recorded it, I believe. At 12 o'clock, the girl showed up to fight. They all went outside to fight. I was asleep because, like, I'm not doing it. So they went outside. They had a huge fight. They came back in, and then I guess the one friend that had to work the next morning went to sleep. Me and my best friend were already asleep. And then they just could party a lot. And I'm like, no, stop. I woke up the next morning around 10 or 11 because, like, of course, I didn't fall asleep until really late. I looked at her and I was like, my apartment smells like a bar. It looks like a bar. It's destroyed. And I was like, and the clothes you gave your friend, because she gave her friend my clothes. I was like, I need those back. She's like, well, you can deal without them. I'm like, no, I need them back. I didn't end up getting them back. But what ended up happening was, she's like, oh, I'm not getting up, I'm not cleaning, I am sick, I don't feel good, I have a headache, I ain't gonna sleep. And I looked at her, I was like, that's not my fault. I told you last night to get up and clean and to not do this. I knew this was how it was gonna be. She's like, I'm not getting up, I'm not doing it. I let her sleep for a couple more hours, told her, so you either, when I woke her up the second time, I said, you either get up and clean or you leave, because I'm sick of this. An hour rolled by, we argued, we fought for a little bit. I told her, like, fine, you don't want to clean, leave. I'm done. Keep in mind, this was over a month of her doing this, and I was like, no, no more. So what ended up happening was she asked her mom to come get her. Sorry if you heard the dog in the background. It's hard to explain. But she ended up calling her mom to come get her. She took my clothes, my sandals. She took a lot of my stuff with her. Never seen it. Not really gonna make a big deal out of it because it's all replaceable, but still. She left. I went to the store, spent about $100 on cleaning supplies just to get rid of everything she had got, like, destroyed. Called in that night, which I shouldn't have, but I did. I called into work. I said, hey, I can't come in. I gotta take care of some stuff with my apartment, and my old roommate just kind of screwed things over. And I was like, so I have to take care of this. I was like, I will lose my apartment. And he's like, okay, take care of it. So then, my best friend, who wasn't there supposed to be there to clean, supposed to be there to hang out with me, went to the store with me, bought over $80 worth of cleaning supplies so that way we could deep clean my apartment because my roommate decided to screw everything up. Well, the other roommate was at work. So around 6 or 7 o'clock comes around. What ends up happening was, my old roommate came home. She's like, oh my god, it's a lot cleaner in here. And I'm like, well, I hope so. I just spent over $80 on cleaning supplies and had to kick Maurice out because she wouldn't quit partying. She's like, oh, okay. She's like, well, finally. But she's like, what are we going to do with her stuff? I was like, she can come get her stuff. So fast forward, I want to say a week to 2 weeks. Yeah, fast forward a week because by that time my best friend had left. We had to move. So I texted Maurice and said, hey, come with us of your crap. We are moving. And if you don't come and get it, whatever's left over is either mine or it's going in the trash. She came and get her stuff. She took some of my stuff again. Which I was like, it is what it is. And then we moved. But yeah, during that whole end of June, beginning of August, during the whole month thing, there was so much going on that I lost half my stuff. I spent, let's just say, everything that I had in my savings, and I had a lot in my savings, like enough for a down payment on a car, was gone, supporting her. And I almost, I lost my first job because I was so busy trying to babysit her that I couldn't go to work. And she never got a job, she never paid me back. Now, fast forward to a couple months ago, this time, she texted me, she asked what I was doing, asked where things were going. I'm like, fine, they're going good. She's like, I really want to be friends, I really want to start talking again. And I'm like, dude, you screwed me over 2 years ago. You're not getting involved with me, my fiancé, and my son. No way. And she asked me about a month later, she's like, do you know anyone who's renting out anything? I was like, no, I don't. And I haven't messaged her since, but yeah. That is my story time on my crazy roommate, number 1. Keep in mind, like I said, I have another crazy roommate story. No, I had 2 more crazy roommate stories, and then I had the story of the first and second roommate together, what it was like. And like I said, this was in a time span of end of June to beginning of August, with one July, middle of July to middle of August. No, middle of September. Middle of August with both. Then end of August, middle of August to beginning of October with the other one. So in a matter of 3 to 4 months, I had 2 roommates that majorly screwed me over. And then I had a roommate a couple years ago that screwed me over. But anyway, yeah, that is my crazy roommate story, part 1. Make sure to come back for the rest of them.